Okay, let me hide behind my brother.
There we are.
Hey, everybody. I can't tell you how excited I am with all of you. This is overwhelming to me because so many people, I sent out invitations. Cindy was amazing. She got it all started for me. Sent out on Facebook, and I had like people saying, we're coming, we're coming, we're coming, we're coming. I'm so excited. But I said, we've got to send invitations. So we got those printed up and mailed them out to everybody, and the response was overwhelming, and it makes my heart feel good because I've got so many friends. I'm going to cry.
Get it out of the way!
So I'm going to say something here again in a minute, but I wanted my brother to talk because he's been funny since the day he was born. We love him to pieces. My sister Karen and my brother Donnie here, and he's made us laugh from the time he was little. So I want him to say a little bit, and then I want to say something else. So. And Steve's going to be quiet because he told me don't make me say anything.
The first thing I heard about this was that we were going to blindside Steve with renewing of the vows. And I said, I've known Steve for a long time, and he's not going to like that. He's not going to like that. Since I've known him, he's looked like Chuck Norris, and I don't want a roundhouse kick for anybody who looks like Chuck Norris. And I'll say this. I had a really long night last night. Dede asked me to say a few words, so I jotted down some stuff. It took me about 10 seconds because I thought I was talking to Steve and Dede and a couple of people. I didn't know there was going to be like, 100 people here, so this may be a little disjointed, but I'm really happy to be here, and I'm super excited that a couple of people in the family anyway. I've made it to 25 years in marriage, but it took me 2 wives. So that's at 12 and a half each. Right? Dede and Steve's 50th wedding anniversary. If you're here, you got an invitation, and the words honored guests get thrown around a lot. It's kind of overused, it's cliche, but if you are here, then you really are an honored guest, because there's a few things that happen in your life that are a big deal. I mean, it's not, you buy a few cars, that's kind of a big deal, but, the things that happen in your life, like buying a house, that's a big deal. But getting married, that only happens 2 or 3 times in your life. But both of my sisters have seemed to figure out how to do it for the long haul. And Mom and Dad, too. I asked Dad once. Mom had passed away. I think Mom died just short of their 60th. Just short of the 60th anniversary. I asked Dad, I said, what's it like being married for 50 years? And Dad said, oh, the last 500 years just flew by. But they both, there's no way to put it into words. I mean, you guys have been there, and you know how it is, and it's ups and downs, and I don't know what to say about it other than I started breaking it down. And here's 50 years by the numbers. 50 years of marriage equals 600 months. It's like 600 house payments. 3,120 weeks. 21,900 days. The Earth gets tugged on by the moon, so we lose a rotation of about, I can't remember, 1,000th of a second a day or whatever. So the scientists have to go in, and there's something called the atomic clock and universal coordinated time. They have to add time to the clock periodically. Since Dede and Steve have been married, the scientists have gone into the clock and added time to it 30 times. I started writing this, and I was going to type it up, and I was like, this is starting to sound like a eulogy, so I still wanted to go by the numbers. In 50 years, the Beatles, in 1965, when Dede and Steve were married, had 5 #1 songs on the charts. The Beatles. There's only a couple of them left. Eric Clapton is 70 years old today. When Dede and Steve got married, he wasn't old enough to get a beer. He wasn't old enough to get a beer. The presidents. Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker, Clinton, Bill, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and possibly Donald Trump. Or Hillary Clinton. I actually did the math on it, by the way, and if you are keeping track, the Republicans are winning the 50-year run 5-4 on that rundown. So, I had the calculator out when I was kind of running this down, and they were married in 1965. Big Steve is Big Steve, but Little Steve, who was taller than Big Steve, we still call him Little Steve. Where's Little Steve?
Back here.
How old are you? What? You're 49. What year were you born?
66.
66. And you guys were married in 65, so I started doing the math on the calculator. And the numbers weren't shaking out right.
We were both mistakes.
I know! There's children here, so I'm not going to tell you what Dad told me about me. Other than there was...
I was the 1A child.
Running for what?
Brings me to my next point, is that you're looking back on the whole thing. Poor Dede, me and Steve, Little Steve, terrorizing Cindy. Both of him and I are a little bit older. She's a little girl and so forth. Big Steve is working the night shift at International Harvester, so he's trying to sleep in the middle of the day. Me and Steve are chasing her through the house. Dede's chasing us through the house when God stopped, because we woke him up a few times. And when he finally woke up, that's when we shut down, because when he got up out of bed at 3 in the afternoon, not ready to get up to shut us down, we knew it was time to be quiet. You ever take the belt and crack it? He never did that, but it's kind of the same result. It's like, oh, okay, all right, Steve's up, and that's it. The old, was it Morristown Pike or Road? Morristown, yeah. The thing that comes to mind back then was you guys had the chair, and it's looked like a French chair, but it was shaped like a lazy S, and it went like this. And it was a bed-sized chair, and it had rock. It had rock. So I or Steve, one or the other, would jump on the tall end. Cindy, who was light and younger, would sit down here, and we would launch her into the air, and she would land on the bed. It was fun. One time, me and Steve thought, well, let's give her a real ride. So both of us jumped off the chair onto the back end. Cindy launched almost to the ceiling, and then down onto the floor, and for the rest of the summer, she's in this full body cast with this darn thing. She's like, oh, it's great swimming in the pond, isn't it, tonight? Me and Steve were swimming and fishing, and she's like, I hate you all. And so did Dede and Steve. Looking back, are there children here? Can we speak? Okay. Well, I'll just say this. When I was writing this, I was kind of looking back at that chair. It's a bed-sized chair. It's shaped like this. It rocks and it's fur. That's some kind of sex chair. I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was like, this was the 1970s. They had the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack. When I thought back about it, it's my sister and my brother and One more story. I'm sorry, this is going long. Me and Steve, we both, Little Steve, we had guns. My dad got me some guns. You guys had guns, so we're out shooting bottles and cans and stuff. And so Dede and Steve are in the kitchen, or somewhere in the other end of the house, and me and Steve go into Steve goes, hey, can you check this out? So we go into their bedroom, opens the closet door, come around. Steve goes, look at this. It's a rifle. 22 rifle. And I go, is it loaded? He goes, no. No problem, right? Pow! I pull it and it's loaded. Dede and Steve are in the other end of the house. Dede told me later. I mean, it's basically there's two children who are 10 and 8 years old in the back end of the house, and these two are in the other end of the house. And Dede told me, she goes, well, we're going to walk back there, and this is probably, maybe, possibly the worst day of my life. And we go back there, and there's me and Steve going, Steve looks like Chuck Norris with his shirt off, and it's like, you guys are both getting your butts kicked. And so I was like, oh God! And so Mom came out, and Mom's mad at Steve, because Steve's mad. Anything that means Steve or the kids did, my mom said, oh, they're just kids. And I shot a hole in the roof. My mom's like, oh, they're fine. You know, I was born when Mom and Dad were 36, so Steve and Dede, my sister and brother-in-law, are kind of second parents. When I was 5, my parents were going, go to their house for the weekend. It's summertime, you gotta take care of that. So, you know, and Steve's like, come and get this guy before I killed him. So, it ended up being okay. I think you guys sold the house with the hole in the ceiling, but not the roof.
It was in the rack. It went in.
It didn't go through the roof?
It went into the rack.
Oh, so it was okay. It was a good shot then. You hit a stud. All right. The best memories some of the best memories anyway in my childhood were Morristown Road or Pike and the pond across the street, fishing where I learned to fish, I learned to swim. Bravo, your dog, I was stunned. Dede's a fantastic dog trainer her whole life, and Bravo always amazed me because he had a vocabulary. He didn't speak to you, but you could talk to the dog and he knew what you wanted. And I was always stunned by it. Peanut, Steve's El Camino, Steve's motorcycle that he wrecked by the cemetery. Well, when you're younger, you want to put the thing in the corner as tight as you can. And the mini bike that I put into the fence, but long story short, these things go long and I talk too much, so I don't wear my glasses. But Dede and Steve have been married for 50 years, and if you could all raise your glass, we love them, and I'm glad to be here, and I love them. A salute. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
He spoke at my mom's funeral and my dad's funeral, and my mom's funeral was one of the greatest eulogies I ever heard. I'm going to get all teary-eyed.
The guy at the funeral home said it was the best eulogy ever.
And I didn't video it, and so I did my dad's, and I'm glad I did. So I asked my friend Chris to video this morning. I'm glad I did because it'll be a memory that I'll keep forever. But my sister is here too. You saw her up here a minute ago. And I want to thank my sister and my niece Jessica. I want to thank all my cousins. These are my cousins. And all my cousins around and that came from out of town. A lot of them came from out of town, made a long drive up here. All my friends that are here are all people that have meant we have a lot of love for all of you. Everyone that's here either is a good friend of Steve's or a good friend of mine, and we have so many good memories of all of you and our family, our other cousins. We've got cousins over here too. I want to thank all of you for coming. This was beyond my dreams that there was going to be this many people here. I didn't think it would be this big, and I'm just thankful to all of you. 50 years ago, 2 high school kids decided they were getting married, and we won't talk about what happened, but they decided they were going to get married. They had $26 to their name. They thought they knew everything, and they didn't. They had 2 beautiful children, Steve and Cindy. How Steve and Cindy made it today, I have no idea. They didn't have the best parents in the world, but they had parents that loved them. We love both of you very much. We had so much fun with every one of you at some point in time in our lives, and we want to thank all of you for all the the good times and all the friendship from all of you. And